Hello. In today's lesson, lesson 12.6, we're going to be working with drawing quadrilaterals. So in our previous lesson, we learned about trapezoids, squares, rectangles, and rhombuses. And so today we're going to practice actually drawing them based on clues that we are giving. We are on page 527 of the third grade textbook. So let's look at the unlock the problem. You've learned to classify quadrilaterals by the number of pairs of opposite sides that are parallel, by the number of pairs of sides of equal length, and by the number of right angles. So, how can you draw quadrilaterals? So use the grid paper to draw quadrilaterals. You'll want to use something that you can draw straight edges with, a ruler, anything else that you can use to draw straight lines. So it says use a ruler to draw line segments from points A to B, from B to C, from C to D, and D to A. Okay, so let's do that. A to B. Okay, from B to C. From C to D. And D to A. Okay, so that's the quadrilateral we've drawn. And it says write the name of your quadrilateral. Okay, well, it has one pair of opposite sides that are parallel. These two sides would eventually meet because this is angled towards A and D. So it'll cross about right here. So A and B and D and C are parallel. So something that has exactly one pair of opposite sides that are parallel is a trapezoid. Activity 2, draw a shape that does not belong. Okay, so here are three examples of a quadrilateral. Draw an example of a polygon that is not a quadrilateral. Okay, so it has to be a polygon, so it has to be a closed shape made up of line segments. So we know that quadrilaterals have four sides. So we need any polygon that doesn't have four sides. It could be a triangle, it could be a pentagon, a hexagon, octagon, decagon, anything like that. So anything that is not four-sided. And explain why your polygon is not a quadrilateral. Okay? The shape I drew is non-quadrilateral because it has three sides and three angles. Quadrilaterals have four sides and four angles. Okay. 528. Here are three examples of a square. Draw a quadrilateral that is not a square. So let's review what characteristics of a square were. It has two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. It has four right angles. And it has four sides of equal length. Okay, so I could draw a rhombus that doesn't have four equal sides, doesn't have four right angles. I could draw a rectangle that would not be a square. Squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. I could draw a trapezoid. I could draw a quadrilateral that isn't any of those, right? So anything with four sides that is not a square. Right? And explain why your quadrilateral is not a square. Well, mine is not a square. The shape I drew is not a square because it only has one pair of opposite sides that are parallel. Okay? It also doesn't have four right angles. Or four sides of equal length. So that shape that I drew doesn't meet any of the requirements of a square. So it doesn't have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. It doesn't have four right angles. It doesn't have four sides of equal length. All right, see, here are three examples of a rectangle. Draw a quadrilateral that is not a rectangle. Okay. Okay, so why is the shape I've drawn not a rectangle? It has four sides, but a rectangle has to have four right angles. This doesn't have four right angles. This angle right here is not a right angle, nor is this one. Okay. Also, rectangles have to have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Well, the shape I've drawn doesn't have any sides that are parallel. The final characteristic of a rectangle is that it has two pairs of opposite sides that are of equal length. This doesn't have two pairs of opposite sides of equal length. Okay. So it doesn't have four right angles. It doesn't have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. It doesn't have two pairs of sides of equal length. All right, D. Here are 3 examples of a rhombus. Draw a quadrilateral that is not a rhombus. So what is a rhombus? A rhombus has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. It has 4 sides of equal length. So we need a 4-sided figure that is not a rhombus. Okay, so something that doesn't have 4 equal sides. Okay. So why isn't my shape a rhombus? Well, because it's a rectangle, right? Rectangles do not have 4 sides of equal length. All right. So now let's continue practicing. Go to page 529. All right. Choose 4 endpoints that connect to make a rectangle. I see some dots all over the place. But I know that a rectangle has to be made up of right angles. So I think I see, if I combine these 2 with this one to this one across the top, I believe that would make a rectangle shape. So let's try that. So there, and then its opposite side should be of equal length, and they are, right? 1, 2, 3 squares, 1, 2, 3 squares, and connect the bottom 2 endpoints, and the top should match it. Okay. So that makes a rectangle. Now, draw a quadrilateral that is described. Name the quadrilateral you drew. It has 2 pairs of equal sides. 2 pairs of equal sides. Well, that could be a square. It could be a rectangle. It could be a rhombus. But I drew a rectangle. The 2 pairs of equal sides, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the left and right are of equal length, and the top and bottom are of equal length. All right, number 3, draw 4 sides of equal length. Okay, so that's describing a square or a rectangle. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So their opposite sides are also 5. Okay. What did I draw? Square. You could have chosen to draw a rhombus. Okay. Well, this is a rhombus, right? But also a rhombus is a shape that has 4 equal sides but doesn't have any right angles. Okay. So that's the difference between a square and something that is just a rhombus. All right, so number 4. Use grid paper to draw a quadrilateral that is described. Name the quadrilateral you drew. It has exactly 1 pair of opposite sides that are parallel. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw mine right here on the page. Okay, so exactly 1 pair of opposite sides that are parallel. That describes a trapezoid. So trapezoids, you can draw them various ways, but I'm just going to make the top and the bottom parallel, and then I'll just connect the top and the bottom. Okay. Trapezoid. Okay. Draw something that has 4 right angles. Well, basically I could draw a rectangle or a square. And remember, squares are rectangles. So I think I'll just go with a rectangle. So a rectangle has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel and 2 sides of equal length. 2 pairs of opposite sides that, I'll say this right eventually, 2 pairs of equal sides of length. All right, number 6, 2 pairs of sides of equal length. Okay, so a square does have 2 pairs of equal length. They just all happen to be the same length. This side and this side are of equal length, and the top and the bottom are of equal length. So it does have 2 pairs of equal length. So square meets that definition. All right, number 7, draw a quadrilateral that does not belong. Then explain why. All right, let's see. So we have a square. So it has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. It has 4 sides of equal length. It has 4 right angles. This shape here has 4 equal sides, but it doesn't have any right angles. So it's not because they have right angles. This one has 4 sides, but it doesn't have 4 equal sides. So why don't we draw something that doesn't have 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? This has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. This does. So does this. So why don't we draw something that doesn't have any parallel sides, or something that has 1 pair of parallel sides? Okay. Why does this shape not belong? So that's one possible answer. It's not the only answer. You could have drawn a shape that doesn't have any sides. It doesn't have any pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Just that it had 4 sides. Okay. How about number 8? So I see 4 right angles in this shape. I see 4 right angles in this shape. Does this shape have 4 right angles? Yes, it does. Okay. So all those angles are the same. So this one has 4 right angles. Are they all of the same length? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. No. So these all have two pairs of sides that are of equal length. They all have four right angles. So we could draw any four-sided shape that doesn't have four right angles. Okay, so I think I'm going to do that. Something that doesn't have four right angles. Okay. All right, so that's a four-sided figure, but it doesn't have four right angles. Okay. Page 530, number 9. Jackie drew the shape at the right. She said it is a rectangle because it has two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Describe her error. Okay, I think I see where she's talking about with two pairs of parallel sides. She's saying that those two are parallel and those two are parallel. But doesn't a rectangle have to have four sides? Doesn't it have to have four right angles? This shape has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Okay, so that's an obvious one. But the other one is it doesn't have four right angles. So Jackie first off didn't draw a shape with four sides and four angles. Then she also didn't have four right angles. Number 10, Adam drew three quadrilaterals. One quadrilateral had no pairs of parallel sides. One quadrilateral had one pair of opposite sides that are parallel, and the last quadrilateral had two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Draw three quadrilaterals that Adam could have drawn. Name the quadrilaterals. So there may be more than one way of drawing the shapes that are being described there. So let's look at it. One quadrilateral had no pairs of parallel sides. Okay, so I'm going to start there. And, that. So I want this side not to be parallel with this side. So I'll draw it in like that. Okay. I was just checking to see if it would cross eventually. So I extended it out into space. See how they're starting to get closer the further I go. So they would eventually cross the top and the bottom there. Okay, I could have drawn that a little more in so that it would have been guaranteed of crossing. Okay, so this one is just a quadrilateral. Okay, it doesn't have any sides that are opposite. It doesn't have any pairs of opposite sides that are parallel, so it can only be named a quadrilateral. The next one has one pair of opposite sides that are parallel, so that is the definition of a trapezoid. So I've drawn the parallel sides, and then the opposite, the other two sides, they'll cross. They'll cross out here somewhere. And so that's a trapezoid. Okay, and then the last one had two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Well, that could be a rectangle, a rhombus. So just choose something. Two sides that are parallel. So okay. This side and this side are parallel. They will not cross. These two sides are parallel. They will not cross. So what did we draw? We drew a 1, 2, 3-sided figure. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to make a change on mine because we haven't really talked about just parallel. This is actually a parallelogram. That isn't one we've talked about. So I'm actually going to make it equivalent. And let me redraw it. Okay. I want to draw a rhombus. So a rhombus, we know, has four sides of equal length. You don't have enough squares. All right, I'll get it right. Sorry, boys and girls. Okay. Right, so we'll just do two there, two across. So sorry about that. Try to get fancy. I should have just drawn a square. Okay. All right. All right. So let's see now this shape I've drawn if it has four right angles. Okay, that's close. Yeah, right angle, and a right angle. Okay, so actually, after all that, I wound up drawing a square. It's also called rhombus, right? Okay. All right, so let's discuss some things that would have been even a little easier. Two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Rectangle would have worked fine, right? Just straight down, over, up, rectangle. Rhombus would work. Squares work, okay? So I made that more difficult. This shape that I drew was correct. It's just that we haven't talked about parallelograms, okay? The reason this is not a rhombus is it's 3 by 4, okay? They're not equal sides. All right, number 11. Amy has 4 straws of equal length. So a shape that has 4 equal sides is a square or a rhombus. Okay, so that's what she could make. Then what happens if she cuts one of the straws in half? Using the 2 halves and 2 of the other straws to make a quadrilateral. So this is what they're saying. So let's say we had, those were the 2 straws that weren't cut. And then she cut one other straw and she used those 2 pieces. Well, what'd she make? She made a rectangle. All right. Now, number 12. Jordan drew one side of a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Draw the other 3 sides to complete Jordan's quadrilateral. All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares long. So that's the shape that we can draw. Okay, we need a side that's parallel to this, which they are, and then these 2 sides are parallel. Okay, I drew them 4 boxes long because that's how long this one was. Okay? So I counted from here to here, and that was 4 boxes long. So I drew the other one 4 boxes long, and then just connected the lines. Okay. All right. So that's it for drawing quadrilaterals. I apologize for number 10. I made that more difficult than I needed to. Just draw a rectangle. And the next session we have, we'll be working on describing triangles. So until then, may the numbers always be in your favor.